This week has been full of surprises, from a delay that I was not expecting to the reappearance of a game that fans have been dying to hear about. We also got an update on the God of War TV series and the reveal for what could be the biggest multiplayer game of the year. A ton to go over, so sit back and let me get you up to speed. And don't worry, there's nothing wrong with your headphones. Jordan is currently on holiday, so Dennis, that's me, will be stepping in for this week. With that out of the way, let's go over the news I mentioned. But first, do you remember this trailer? It's the reveal for Light of Motiram, made by the Tencent subsidiary Polaris Quest, and yeah, some aspects from this trailer might seem a little bit familiar. In fact, I don't think there's anyone who didn't immediately draw a connection to Guerrilla's Horizon series, as the design of the world, characters and enemy machines are all clearly influenced by the PlayStation sci-fi series. Sony themselves took note too, and it has now become public knowledge that the company has sued parent company Tencent for copyright and trademark infringement. The lawsuit was only filed last Friday, so it's all very recent, but the main reason given by Sony is that Light of Motiram copies several distinctive Horizon elements and threatens to confuse buyers. Which, yeah, I can see why they think that's the case, but the lawsuit also reveals an interesting detail that makes it very unlikely the similarities are an accident. According to Sony, Tencent pitched the idea of collaborating on a Horizon game, but this idea was rejected. Polygon also notes the pitch proposed adding Eastern aesthetics, survival and crafting, pet taming and multiplayer components to the Horizon series. There was even a mock-up of Aloy standing on the Great Wall of China, which I honestly kinda wanna see what that looks like, but the most important thing here is that Light of Motiram was revealed after that Horizon pitch was rejected, which to me implies that this is their way of making that title anyway without needing Sony's permission. Or that was the original plan, of course, because depending on how this lawsuit turns out, Light of Motiram might have to go through some heavy redesigns if it sees the light of day at all. But regardless of how the situation develops, I think it has already complicated things a bit for the Horizon franchise. While the inspiration for the designs has been apparent since day one, the gameplay itself is actually not so similar to Horizon, and I think specifically the melee combat looks pretty interesting. Guerrilla themselves have been working on a multiplayer title set in the Horizon universe for quite some time, but apart from leaked artwork, we don't have a clue as to what that's going to look like. When they do reveal it, people will likely draw comparisons to Light of Motiram, which also features multiplayer elements and has a more stylized art direction, which those leaked artworks for the Horizon project also seem to imply. If that comparison then turns out to be unfavorable for the Horizon multiplayer game, I have a feeling this situation will be brought up again, no matter the outcome of the lawsuit. But we can talk about that when the project is finally revealed. For now, the reasoning behind the lawsuit is clear, and I don't think many of us are surprised, as most comments under the reveal trailer already mention how similar Light of Motiram is to Horizon. When we learn more, we will of course let you know here, and we also post one of these Sunday news roundup videos every week, so subscribe to make sure that you don't miss it. Now let's talk about Warner, as we learn some interesting details about what's next for WB Games Montreal. The studio, known for their previous titles Batman Arkham Origins and Gotham Knights, seems to be working on a live service title likely set in the DC universe. This info comes from a job listing for an executive producer, which notes that you will lead the development of a high-quality AAA game based on one of the most iconic IPs from the vast Warner Bros. And DC Comics catalog. It also notes that you'll oversee post-launch content and live service strategy, ensuring ongoing player engagement as part of the job. We unfortunately don't know much more, but especially after Suicide Squad, this is not an idea a lot of people will get behind, at least not right away. We did know this was bound to happen, as WB Games have expressed a continued interest in live service models, even after the release of Suicide Squad, and with James Gunn's Superman causing a lot of positive buzz, I can see why they think the time is right to try again. I do want to stress that the job listing never states outright it's going to be a DC game, that's just the option that makes the most sense, but the live service part is there in the print. We can at least rest assured that they'll likely leave Batman alone, as Jason Schreier reported earlier this year that Rocksteady is seeking to return to the Caped Crusader, and they're making it a single-player game as well. And while this new live service doesn't exactly get me hyped right now, I do think that Montreal is a much better fit for it. Gotham Knights actually had some interesting ideas concerning loot and progression, so if they flesh those out and apply them to a live service title, it could work. The truth is, unfortunately, that very few games that choose the live service model hit the ground running and actually justify using it in a fun way, like Helldivers 2 did, for example. So I hope that whoever gets that job as executive producer knows what they're doing. I for sure would not want to be in their shoes. Now let's go over some quick shots, gaming news that I want to go over quickly. And this one caught me by surprise, as while we see many games delayed these days, it rarely happens that we get a delay this close to launch. But that is exactly what happened with Dying Light: The Beast, which was set to release on August 22nd, but has now been delayed to September 19th. In a press release from Techland, they note that the response to the recent preview event has been great, but it also raised some valid concerns from fans, which they now want to address to make sure the game launches in the best state possible. According to the studio, they are still looking to improve some aspects of the game, such as fine-tuning the balance of gameplay elements, looking into clarity of UI, increasing the quality of physics, as well as tweaking cutscenes and player animations further. Now, while I don't really mind a delay if it improves the quality of a title, the new release date for The Beast might end up becoming a bit of a problem. It now releases in between Borderlands 4 and Silent Hill F, which are no small series, and both of those have a very dedicated fanbase too. It also places the title much closer to late year big hitters like Ghost of Yotei, Outer Worlds 2 and Pokemon ZA, meaning it's likely people are saving up for those rather than looking at your game. I still hope it works out. Again, the extra polish is always welcome. I just hope the new release date doesn't end up hurting the game, especially after we recently learned Techland had to cancel 2 internal projects as well. But let's move on to a game that came back from the dead, as we finally, and I mean finally, have an update on Hollow Knight Silksong. Okay, to be fair, it was never declared dead, but the closest thing we ever got to a release date was somewhere in 2022 during an Xbox showcase, which stated all games in the showcase would be out within 12 months. And I think we all remember how that worked out. Since then, it has been pretty quiet until we got the bombshell reveal this week that the game will appear at Gamescom. And not just that, there will be a new playable demo on the show floor, playable on both PC and the ROG Xbox Ally, which by the way is also the first opportunity for the public to get their hands on the handheld. I already dread the queue for Silksong, but it's great knowing that Team Cherry are finally showing off more of their highly anticipated Metroidvania. In fact, we've kind of known something was coming, as both the game's Steam page and official website were recently updated. And with rumors going around that the team is still planning a late summer release, could this mean they're finally gearing up for launch? I certainly hope so. Hollow Knight is one of my favorite indies, and Hornet looks like a blast to play in Silksong, so I'm definitely a bit jealous of everyone who's able to go hands-on at Gamescom. We also have some new info on the upcoming God of War TV show, currently in development for Amazon Prime Video. While the project had a bit of a rough start, this new info has actually gotten me a bit more hopeful. Showrunner Ronald D. Moore, mostly known for his work on sci-fi shows like Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica, was interviewed by Collider during San Diego Comic-Con, and there he was able to share that the team is currently in the script writing stage of production. He later also added that they won't start filming until 2026 at the earliest, so the project is still some time off. However, Moore also talked about his appreciation for the source material, giving high praise to Cory Barlog, who seems actively involved in the project as well. In an interview with IGN, Moore mentioned he wants the show to emulate the tone of the game as much as possible. The game in question here is God of War 2018, by the way, as the series will adapt the Norse saga first, although Moore did not rule out the possibility of Kratos' Greek past showing up as well. The first season will consist of 10 episodes, with a second one already having been greenlit, and while it will of course be an adaptation, the team is very attached to both the story and characters, so it doesn't sound like it will stray very far from the original. My main question is if that first season will contain the entire first game, kind of like how the first season of The Last of Us did it. According to How Long to Beat, the main story for 2018 is only 5 hours longer than TLOU, so it's definitely a possibility. But the growth of the relationship between Kratos and Atreus is not something that should be rushed, and if they also want to incorporate Kratos' history in Greece, that might be a bit too ambitious for one season. Still, as a big fan of the series, I'm very much looking forward to it, and this new info has me hopeful they're at least going in the right direction. And just off the press as I'm writing this script, Battlefield 6 just did a proper multiplayer reveal, and I have to say, I think the game is looking really good. A ton of information was also revealed, including a return to the class-based system, new gameplay options like dragging down teammates to safety and placing ladders to storm buildings, and a renewed focus on environmental destruction. The game will also feature a ton of modes at launch, including Battlefield staples like Rush and Conquest, and classics like Team Deathmatch and Domination. There's also a free-to-play Battle Royale mode, and the return of the Portal feature, which now includes a robust map and game mode editor to allow for crazy custom games. I mean, this is really giving me some Halo 3 Forge vibes here, which is a really good thing. And the best news is, the game's not even that far away, as we also learned Battlefield 6 will be releasing on October 10th. While I'm likely still busy with Ghost of Yotei at that point, this news is honestly getting me really excited. I played a ton of Battlefield 3 and 4 back in the day, and this finally feels like a return to the form of that era. And it's not just me, because if we take a look at Steam's top selling page, we can see Battlefield 6 sits right at the top. Let's hope the team sticks the landing and delivers, because I have a feeling this next entry might be something really special. And this coming week also has something to look forward to, as the new lineup of PS Plus games will become available on Tuesday, August 5th. Most notably, you're able to claim Lies of P for free if you have an active subscription, which is a must-play in my book and one of the best non-FromSoft Souls-likes out there. We also have some exciting stuff in the works for the channel, as I just got back from a trip to China where I was able to go hands-on with Phantom Blade Zero, which I'm really excited to tell you about. And with the team back in full force, we're also able to cover the big update for Assassin's Creed Shadows that dropped earlier this week. Of course, we'll round out next week with another one of these Sunday videos, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss it, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and you can watch the previous news roundup by clicking on the screen. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.